Hi, I'm Joshua Finn from J&H Aerospace, and this is Caleb. Caleb, here you can show off this one. Alright, today we're doing the build video for the Aleda rocket series. This is the new Aleda R series, so the Rev 2s. So this is for the Micromax version, for the medium version, and also for the BC version. So what we're doing is we're achieving cross-compatibility with this new setup from the rocket pods. They fit the Aledas, and then they fit the wind lamps of their equivalent size. If you have an old series Aleda R, the 13mm version, you need to look very closely at your parts sheets to see if you have this style of a pod lockup. If so, this is not the correct video. Use the video in your instruction sheet, and that one will help you assemble that. These will launch on the new pods in calm weather, but it's not as secure of a lockup because it's a slightly different angle. So the new ones do fit this style of pod, which is the pod that we originally designed for the mini wind lamps. So with that, let's set all of these aside. We're going to build, for the purposes of the video here, we're going to build the BC version. That's B and C engine classes. The reason we're building this one is it has the two-piece fuselage, which the others don't. And yes, Caleb. So let's go and let's inventory our parts here. So what you have when you pull all of your parts loose, you have your BT20 body tube. These are, I believe, 9 inches long. This is your fuselage sheet, and no, yours will not have the nasty burn mark here. I'm using a throwaway here. This is 3/16 inch sheet in the BC version, 1/8 inch sheet in the regular Aleda R, and 1/16 in the other ones, the Micromax version. Then you have your tail surfaces, which are 1/16 inch balsa. In the Micromax version, they're 1/32 balsa. You got your nose cone, streamer, the launch lug, some nose weight, the shock cord, and then your wings. These are 3/16 in the BC version, 3/32 in the regular version, and 1/16 in the Micromax version. So let's clear some things out and we'll get started. We're going to start here by building out the wing surfaces. So, I believe we've got all of that. Oh, there's a part that didn't burn through. This was a B grade, so let's save the B grades for videos and for giving away to folks who can't afford airplanes as easily. Alright, so there are your wings. Fairly small wingspan for a C engine aircraft, but it works fairly well. Perfect for B engines. And we're going to take a Razor plane. This is a Stanley plane. A lot of people ask me what I use, so that's what I use. Let's slide the blade out just a touch. These are a little fiddly to adjust, but they're worth the trouble. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plane this to a basic airfoil here. With the micro version of this airplane, make sure you don't plane it too thin. And you can actually build it without airfoil in that one at all. It'll fly great. And also the intermediate version. This one does not have an airfoil, and it flies is fine. I just rounded off in the inches. The bigger one, you must airfoil it. And the reason that you must is we've made the wing much thicker, and that's to give you, first of all, the strength to withstand the high-speed launches, and also it gives you much better glide performance. We'll bring the video back online once I'm finished airfoiling that. Alright, so we've got our high point line along here, and now what we're going to do is we're going to just come along. We're going to do the same thing on the wing leading edge, and you want to wrap that airfoil all the way around here. So that way you taper it in, you get the tip thinned down to an efficient shape. So we'll come back when that's done. Okay, so we have this wing airfoiled out here. We're going to come on the underside, we're going to sand in what's called some upsweep. This just gives you a little bit better of a glide. Get everything tapered in along here. We'll do on the underside of the wingtip just to round things around there. And then all we have to do is go in and sand this down. And I will be back once we've got this all sanded out. Okay, so we have a very nice airfoil carved in here. Everything's sanded around. We've got our upsweep sanded in here. Got a very sharp leading edge. So we'll come back once we've got the second one done, and then we'll join them together. Okay, so what we have here, we have our completed wings. We've sanded these out. Now we need to set them up for dihedral, and the way we do that is the usual way. We're going to set about that angle for our bevel. And we're just going to sand this in. You want to make sure that you're holding this as flat as possible while you're doing it, so that you don't get a curve in here, like so. And it appears that I have done so, so what you got to do is now you got to go in on the end here. Let's see, how's that looking? That's pretty close. So we'll do it on the other side. Which one of you is the culprit? This one is. Actually went a little too far in a couple places there. There we go. Pretty close. And now, come back over here, pop out our dihedral gauge. Now we'll check everything out here, make sure we've sanded up fairly close. Fairly close, not great. We'll come in here and we'll try and flatten out this angle just a smidge. can't tell, this is one of my off days. I am sanding particularly poorly today. But that'll be close enough. Nothing that a whole bunch of unnecessary extra glue can't fix. And drop some accelerator on here. And now all we have to do is hang the flap down here. And there we go. Alright, we'll be back in just a moment here. Now we're going to work on the fuselage here. So we're going to snap out this part. Now if you're building the either of the smaller versions of this aircraft, the fuselage is just one piece. But on this one we're going to have the two-piece. You can see how that's done. Now the thing to make sure on this one is that you've got your wing slot. Let me turn this around so it's correct for the camera. So you've got a slot on top for your wing. You've got this platform for your stab back here. So all we have to do is put some glue in here. And we'll slide this together. There's not a whole lot of play in that, so you generally will get a very good alignment. And all we want to do really is just make sure this is held flat. We'll hit it with a little bit of accelerator, and that'll hold it. And there we go. Got your fuselage ready to go. Now you can round off some of this. Don't round off here, and I would be hesitant to round off anything ahead of your leading edge of your stab. Do a little bit of rounding around here, but wait until after you get your side plates on the nose. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and mount the wing on here. And again, if you're building one of the smaller versions, a lot of that sanding is really not critical to getting good performance out of the airplane. You will see a benefit, but on this one it makes a bigger difference just because this is a larger airplane and there's more performance capacity to be had. Just want to sand that little burr off of there and on either side here. So there you go. Now we will set that aside. We'll pop our horizontal stab out. And didn't come completely free here. There we go. So here's our horizontal stab. You want to round this off. You can sand this to a real nice airfoil. This is one of those, you know, you'll get out of it what you put into it. It will fly very well stock. If you take the time to put a nice airfoil on the stab. It certainly is not going to hurt performance. Now I will say, if you're flying this on a higher impulse, like if you're looking to fly this on a C engine off of a piston, you need to be real careful how thin you sand the horizontal stab in particular on this airplane, because you can just run that thing into flutter and just shred it off of there. Because these things will go close to 200 miles an hour on a C engine off of a piston. So, hold on a second, we've got some noise in the background. Okay, so in the meantime, we have airfoiled this stab, also done the same thing with the vertical fin here. So what we're going to do, we'll come back here, we're going to glue the horizontal stab in place. And you do have these little alignment marks on here that will allow you to kind of center things up. Stab tilt is a thing you should consider. So let's say I want this airplane to circle to the left. I'm going to put a shim under this side, and that way that side's a little higher, although I think my glue may have already set. Yeah, we've got a little bit of stab tilt. So now this side of the stab is higher, so the airplane should turn that way. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue my vertical stab on the side here. So a little glue on here. And there we go. So that gives us, oh, only thought that was hardened on. There we go. Now, let's throw a little accelerator on that so it doesn't fall off again, because it's not completely cured in there. That gives us everything secure back here. Everything's happy up front. Now all we have to do for our glider is put the nose cheeks on. Get those three out. 3, 2. And the main thing is you do want to make sure there's not a burr on this back side, because there is a little tab on this part in the carrier sheet. So we're going to take that, put your glue on the piece, not on the fuselage. That way you can control how far back this goes. So, and then we just want to line up the outline here. So it's lined up like that, and we're good to go. And now we'll just do the same thing on this piece. And then we again line that up with the front outline here. We've got the airframe of the glider completed. And now you can do a little bit of basic sanding here. Don't round off anything in this area or directly right in here. But up front, actually you can round this area off because you don't have direct contact right over that, because we don't have riders on the pylons on these. There you go. And that's the pleated nose. You can do a little bit of sanding around here. I actually would not sand this area back here other than to smooth out the profile. But don't round this off. You can round off in this area because you've got a lot of extra material. But don't round off back here because you don't want to take off excess material out of there. I know that rounded profile seems like a good idea, but it actually does not contribute measurably to your aerodynamic performance. So that's got the glider out of the way. We'll come back in a little bit and we'll balance it. Next, let's go ahead and cut out these locking lugs. And we'll come over to our fuselage sheet and we'll cut out the pylon. Take these guys. There's no burrs on this part because of the way that we designed this. And so all we have to do, smear a little glue on here. And that's in place. Over the other side. So there we go. If I can get this on here, right? It's getting a little finicky. Now this guy, optimally you would hit this with accelerator first because there's still some wet glue on there. Like I said, some wet glue. Alright, so you want this guy to slide on and off real easy like. It is okay for this to be very, very loose. You want it to be loose. As folks who bought the Carbonette 19 have found out, we weren't kidding when we said it needs to not be able to, basically when you have the fully assembled pod, if you tip this up, it should just slide right off. Alright, so now we've got a real good lock up here. Because it locks around the front, so this can't move around. This slides off the back very easily. Now you may want to harden up this area, because I don't know if you can tell, I'm already actually wearing a groove in here. And that's just something you have to deal with this type of a lock-up mechanism. It does erode some on the leading edge surfaces, but that's a minor issue. This gives you a very reliable lockup and disconnect when it's set up like that. The next thing is, we've got our fuselage tube here. I'm going to rough this up right here, and then we're just going to glue this pylon in place. Get that lined up. You can sight I can't do this and show it on the camera. The bottom line is you line up your glue edge here, sight down the side of the tube, and those should be parallel. And you want to fillet this joint pretty well without getting glue in that tiny little hole there, because you're going to need that tiny hole in a minute. You've got a fillet that already formed up on the other side, which is good. And that's hardened in place. So now we have a pod assembly that fits in here. Next thing we'll go ahead and do, if I can get this loose, we'll take our shock cord out of here. It still has some tape lingering on it. There we go. Almost got the tape off. And now, one of the things we're going to do here is, instead of tying this around front, we're going to tie it over the top. So I've been having some problems lately with these coming loose. And sometimes you have a little bit of trouble threading this through. So what you can do is put a dab of glue on here. It only works if it's CA glue because it's got to harden up fairly quickly. Now you can stick this guy through, turn up the other side, and tie it in place. And then, there we go. Alright, and we'll be right back. Alright, so up front, we're going to take our nose cone. I'm actually going to pre-slot this. So we want a fairly strong hookup here. Now there are various ways that you can do this. You can put a little eyelet in here. I just glue these things on. It's just my personal style of doing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle it around. I'm going to try to circle it around one time. And then we're going to cut this guy through the slot. And then we'll center it back into the slot. And glue it all the way around. And again, this is my personal way of doing it. It is inelegant, I understand that. But it works. And that thing's not coming out of there, so you don't run the risk of a DQ'd flight. Now, take this streamer and twist this around like so. I'm going to tie a knot up here towards my nose cone. Maybe. Like so. And we'll tie it one more time. And now the streamer's in place. And the only part of our assembly that remains, just come back here, burr that up a little bit, and here, rough it up, something like that. So now I've got glue on my launch lug. Glue that in place, get it fairly straight on here. Always mount the launch lug on the top so that you get as much vertical separation from the launch rod with your for your glider as possible. I guess that's horizontal separation at launch, but you think of it horizontally. Alright, that's locked in place, so we're good to go there. And then for your launch strategy, you're going to set your engine in, pack in a couple of sheets of recovery wadding depending on the size of the model. Even on the micro ones you have to use recovery wadding, the reason being these parachutes will melt under the heat of the ejection charge. So we tie this guy up, minimum slack, slip it in here like so, slide our nose cone in, maybe. And in it goes, and it slips onto the front of the glider, like so. Alright, we'll be right back. We're going to balance the glider and then we'll do some test glides. Okay, so we've got our glider balancer here. We're going to balance this airplane about a half an inch back from that joint. Basically 2/3 of the way back from your wing leading edge, in case you're building the a different size, which good chance you are because we've got this airplane in 3 sizes. So I'm going to put a dab of glue on the side of my nose here, break off a little bit of clay, and we'll stick it there. That has our CG still pretty far back, so we'll put some more clay on. I'm really clumsy today. There we go. And that is almost there. I'm going to put just a little more clay on it. And then we'll do a couple tosses across the living room, and maybe we'll take it outside for a few minutes. Alright, be right back. Okay, so we'll get this thing mostly balanced. Now we're going to toss it across the living room. And wow, that was terrible. Yeah, we're going to take this outside. Okay, so we're out here with several of these Aleda gliders, the Aleda R's. So we've got 3 different sizes. What I'll do is I'll set these down. So, first of all, we've got this little one. And it balances way back here. And you can see very, very nice glide out of that one. You've seen that one on video before. This is the micro Aleda, so we're going to give it a quick toss. We'll see it flies good, gets tossed around a little. And it also balances back there. So this one, I think, because of the thicker airfoil, it tends to want more forward CG. As you can tell, it's still a little bit on the tail heavy side, I think. So I'm going to put a dab more clay on here. It's also pulling fairly hard to the left, which we put a lot of stab tilt on here. Not a huge amount, but there's, you can see there's a little. And it's stalling around some more. Surprising how much clay it takes. Alright, so you can tell it's very windy out here, but that is a happy glider. That's actually a very, very good glider. So these larger ones, they do glide better. So we'll give this 1 or 2 more tosses, and we'll conclude this video. And you'll have that for your data. So we'll walk back over here and give that a nice toss. Like I said, it's getting tossed around pretty good, but it flies all right. Let me see if I can give you a real throw. All right, there we go. You see that hooks around kind of hard. It pulls out of it. You would probably want to open that turn up a little by adding some right rudder. Not a whole lot. So there it goes. Very nice glide pattern. Floats beautifully. A little bit of undulation, but stabilizes out pretty good. Okay, so things that I've left out. If you notice the other 2 gliders, we'll look at them in a minute. They have been painted. This one has not. So the other 2, you can just spray some paint on them. They'll be fine. You just give it a light coat of paint, not very much. Excuse the kittens that are screaming for food. So, you know, these were just misting, very, very light coat of paint on them. And, you know, just enough to give it a little bit of color. This one I gave a little bit more color because it's bigger and it's got more power available, so it doesn't hurt your launch altitude as much. This thing, don't paint it yet. You need to seal it with either model airplane dope like nitrate or butyrate dope, or Minwax spar varnish. You need to seal this airplane. It adds some strength to it and some stability to the so the wings don't warp, or the tail. If you're going to launch this on C engines off of a piston, I don't think that bare like that, even with it sealed, that it's going to be able to handle that. you need to tissue the wings. And there are various tutorials about that online as far as how to do that. And I just got bit by an ant. Caution, the outdoors does bite. And now I've got a spider. Spiders, burn it with fire. But yeah, once you've done that, then just paint the guy up. Does not need to be a heavy coat of paint, just enough to give it a good color spatter. They look fine like that. You don't have to have this gloss paint. That will hurt performance if you do that. If you tissue it, you'll get beautiful colors. But anyway, that's what you're looking to do. Bear in mind, off of a C engine, this thing is going to go very high. It's going to be very hard to see. It's not a super large glider. So anyway, with that, questions, comments, put them in the comments section below. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.